Tip those Wookiee bartenders 20%, the George Binders, no Raylos, no Ray Nobodies, no Ray Palpatines, no sequel trilogy fans, or I'm saying it now, black pills who don't think anything good's ever going to happen, and everything Disney does in Star Wars sucks. You're not a fan of Star Wars then, okay? Because you don't want to fix it. You just want to be miserable. You're not allowed here either. So today we are going to discuss, because both Cameron Pasha and Doomcock basically were talking about this. Good afternoon, Aged Boomer. The Veil of the Force and what it means. And I'm going to bring up some quantum mechanics, quantum physics. And the reason is I watched a really fascinating show about it on YouTube. And what space and time are, they exist in the same thing. Everything is three-dimensional. We are right now in this linear time zone going forward. Can you go back? Well, in 1915, Einstein, in his generalized theory of relativity, said gravity can bend time and space. It can bend light. Black holes prove that every day, that gravity does all that. Our sun bends time and space. In the movie The Voyage Home, Star Trek The Voyage Home, Captain Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise use the Enterprise's, or the Falcon, or the Klingon bird of prey they're in, to go as fast as that ship can take them around our sun, slingshot around it to go back in time. Because time and space are warped. It's called warping by, by things like the stars. They're massive. They have a tremendous amount of gravity, etc., etc. So what does this mean when we're talking about the veil of the Force? This is something, and I haven't really gone looking too far. You probably have to ask Star Wars Theory more about it, but I don't think he really subscribes to this until it happens. But when you look at time and you're worried about paradoxes, you got to look at, there's a trunk, and that's the timeline we're on. But if this happens, that timeline starts. If that happens, that branches. It goes from one thing to another to another. So we're talking about multiverse. Is it real? Could be. I don't know. It's theory. Talk about logical paradoxes. You can't go back and shoot your parents. If you did, you'd shoot somebody else's parents on a different timeline. If you went back to save Abraham Lincoln, you'd save Abraham Lincoln in a different timeline. Okay, think about it. Okay, so we've got Filoni wondering probably how to fix what's broken, and already putting the mechanism in with the Veil of the Force to do it. But I'm gonna ask you guys a question. When Ezra goes in to the portal, and he's in the middle of the Veil of the Force, and he finds Ahsoka fighting Vader, and he pulls her out, what timeline was hatched? Okay? Right? What timeline? Think about it. Because her life being saved is sets off a lot, including The Mandalorian. Mando goes and seeks her out. He helps her. She says she can't train Grogu, but if he takes the baby to the Seeing Stone on Tython, he can call out through the Force to other Jedi if they're around. without Ahsoka telling Din Djarin what changes. Does Baby Yoda end up being captured? Does Din end up dying? What happens? See, these are the questions. Saving her opened up a new timeline. And I honestly think that her showing up in Mando was a statement saying, we are changing this. It's going to be a different timeline. Now, I got into a fight with a black pill about it. You have to understand that Dave Filoni, when I think about the Veil of the Force and what it is, and the different branches, the different events, as Ezra's walking down these mirrors that are there, they're different events in the timeline. And the moment you pull her out, howdy, Mad Piranha, the moment you pull her out, what changes? Okay, you leave her in there, she gets killed by Vader. There's no one to tell Din Djarin about where to take the baby. Luke never discovers Grogu, therefore he doesn't get his first apprentice. Because in this timeline, Ben Solo isn't his first apprentice. Okay, he's not. It's very interesting to me when I think about that and how many people, even within the fan community, don't absolutely right, Troy. Absolutely right. And that's the thing. Now, it's not as if the sequel trilogy is going to be permanently erased. It's going into a different universe. Because we're talking about time. Again, if you go back to, Cameron was talking about this. If you go back in time and kill baby Hitler, you killed a Hitler in a different timeline. All right? There's still going to be a Hitler in your own timeline that does all the things he did. And it's very interesting because these people, I don't think the people who are so dead set against it understand that this multiverse is workable within Star Wars. It has to be because look at what's going on, and that it's workable in reality. The logical paradoxes that we worry about, is it because it's not linear. A lot of time travel movies, even Back to the Future, treat it as linear, and you kind of can't. Like, I look at, somebody said this, I think, on Doomcock, the sequel trilogy is the Biff Tannen timeline, casino timeline of Star Wars. That's the best explanation for the sequel trilogy I could think of. Okay. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay. They don't have to make it that way. And I don't think they are. Honestly, I think there are people in there, and they might be more woke than woke, but they know what sells and what doesn't. And that's ultimately what's gonna, hey, Senator Dave, that's ultimately is what's gonna sell the next offerings. This is the timeline we are now in. We are going back to what George wanted. Okay, I would like a mix of what he wanted and the EU. And the reason why is because there's too much in the EU that works, I think. You can't quote George out of context. You can't. And not have someone say, but he also had his nose stuck all the way up in the EU. there's a contingent of fans led by Pablo Hidalgo who hate the EU for some reason. And I honestly think, Kojak, I honestly think, come here. Come here. Can you guys see him? Come here. Come here. Come on, up. Come on, up. Come on. Come up. Coach. Come on. Come here. Up. Come on. Up. Come on. Here he is. See? Here's Coach. Coach, look. All right, you can get down if you want. Go on, buddy. Now that he's found out, he can look up here. Nothing will be safe. No, you can't have any of that. There's nothing for you. Anyway, there are people in there that hate the EU, and I think it's a personal thing. I think they really do the fan fiction thing inside their heads where they don't like Jaina and Jason, or they don't like, I'm done with Gina. I am. I don't want to hear about her anymore. And the reason is this: she comes back, she comes back. She doesn't, she doesn't. Star Wars goes on. If they hire somebody else to play her role, hey, you know what? I have no problem. All right. I'm done. I'm done freaking out about her. I don't like being used as a political pawn. I've said what I've said. What they did was wrong. And I think the people who did it have been punished or are in the process of being punished. I think it's the thing that set off Kennedy's, demise at Lucasfilm. But, I don't trust her. I don't trust her. She owes Jon Favreau a lot. And she owes us a lot. You don't get to where she is without connections like him and fans like us. And if she tells them I'm not coming back, Ronda Rousey is now Cara Dune. There you go. Have fun. Okay? Have her do it. She's an actress. She's already been in movies. And the reason why I say is this. Star Wars isn't about Cara Dune. She's just a part of it. Star Wars is about Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, Han, Leia, Padme, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Palpatine. And that core. If my dog was cast as Cara Dune, it shouldn't matter. All right? Again, if she comes back, hey, great. If she doesn't, tough shit, life goes on. Okay, and that's the way we gotta look at it. Because I'm gonna say this. She knew, hey Chris, she knew not to do that shit. She did it anyway. Anyway, back to this. So when you get to the Veil of the Force, and you're thinking about all those mirrors, the branches going off, the events that are off that veil, and you think about the parallel timelines that those events might be part of, too. Okay, if this happens, then that timeline starts. If this happens, that timeline starts. If this kid's not born, this timeline doesn't happen. Okay, you gotta think of it that way, and in that sense, it makes sense. Logically, it's very possible to travel the veil of the Force. I'll show you what I mean. Einstein said that space and time are curved and manipulated by gravity. This is the sun, okay? This is going to be gravity and time. It doesn't go like that. It goes like this. It goes, it's curved by it. It's curved like this, and it's warped by it. Okay, that is a very interesting thing because it basically says that time. I don't like Sunkist. It's even the diet's too sweet. That time can be bent. Time and space can be bent, warped. That they're not they're not concrete, if you know what I mean. Black holes prove this. You could look at time as, right, this rubber band, if it was a string, as this, in some cases, folded over on itself. We know that black holes, with their gravitational pulls, suck in by gravity light and things and space. What are they? And they spew out light on the other end. You know, it's going to be interesting because I really think that Filoni looked at that and thought about the science behind it and the quantum mechanics behind it because it works. And I know a lot of people don't like the idea of time travel in Star Wars because they don't understand it. When you've got beings as powerful as Jedis, and you've got places within their known universe that are force nexuses, like Lothal, like Typhon, like Korriban, like, Tatooine is, if you think about it. I mean, look who ended up there. Two of them, Skywalker and Son. It is difficult for me to believe that you couldn't use you can use what we know to work within that universe, and I think that's what Filoni is doing with the Veil of the Force. He put it in there for a reason. Now we got Ahsoka running around. When you watched that part where she realizes Vader's Anakin, and they're fighting as Ezra and them are taken off, that was the timeline that we are currently in. When Ezra saves her, he changes it. All right? And we get into another timeline. If he doesn't save her, we're on this timeline. And I honestly think as that was going through, Filoni did that. It was a masterful thing. I think he knew eventually he was going to get a chance to fix what they broke, which is why I put it in there. It's all, you've got to study. I think you've got to study more of it to understand it fully. I listened to that conversation today with the scientists talking about it, and it was really interesting. Yeah, but see, Ezio, the problem is that they have to understand that they're not saving their own time. They're going into another timeline. It's another timeline now. Okay, like I said, you can go back in time and save Abraham Lincoln. You can go back in time and save JFK. You saved another timeline's JFK, Abraham Lincoln. You stopped, you wouldn't be able to, but you stopped the crucifixion of Jesus, which would be bad. That would be bad in a certain timeline, okay? Because that had to happen. I mean, that was something very significant, the most significant thing that ever happened in the world, and that had to happen. And but you could do all kinds of things. You could do all kinds of things with the Veil of the Force to fix things. In fact, I mean, what I love about it is you've got people going, They could use the veil of the Force to change all the canon in the OT. Which OT? Which OT? Which? Okay. Because if you do that, you start another timeline. Yeah, I mean it's basically going to be aged boomer. It's basically going to be the Biff Tannen Casino timeline of Star Wars. I mean that's the only way I can think of it. Oh, I loved The Voyage Home. I love that movie. They're on the bus, and that punker is playing his music, and Kirk tells him to turn it down, and he flips him off, and then Spock just goes, "Eh," and the guy just passes out, and the entire bus is like, yeah. Just, it was such a fun movie. He's back again. He's back again. Come up. Wanna come up? Come here, Kojak. Ta-da! Here he is. The puppy bear. Ow. He is the puppy bear. See? See? Puppy bear. Yeah, well, yeah, or, you could have somebody else go back and not save Ahsoka. Get into Ezra's way. So what I think is going to happen is I have a feeling that there's going to be something where there's going to be a Dark Jedi, not necessarily a Sith Lord, that Thrawn is using, and they're going to basically use Heir to the Empire in a way, and I think it's going to be Luke that's going to have to jump in to the Veil of the Force and stop Palpatine, and then whatever. And it's not even that. It's going to have to be. There's going to have to be, because one person being saved can change everybody's time. Everybody. We might not have Kyle Ron. We might have Jaina and Jason. We might have the twins. We know for a fact that Kira was Han and Leia's daughter. Okay, and that's a big thing. That's a big thing, and it's very. He's back again. He's just. You, sir, need to be brushed. But I think saving Ahsoka changes all of it. I really, really do. Because, if it's 5 years before or after Return of the Jedi, Benji is ready to go with his uncle. And yeah, Luke is out going around, saving Grogu. Now there are people out there going, he can have two. No. It very specifically says Muleface is Luke's first apprentice. Okay. And they're going to have to, it's going to be really funny when they realize that there's going to be a completely different timeline. Well, why? Hi, Dave. Where is he? Kojak, get out of there. Come here. Come here and lie down. Lie down. Coach. Lay down. Lay down, buddy. Come on. Lay down. Lay down. Oh, he just wants to walk around and stare at me. But I think that they're going to show Palpatine actually dying for sure when Luke takes him out. So we're going to have a little bit of Dark Empire, which is a story I didn't really like. And we're gonna have a little bit of see, do you see his nose? He's a good boy. He's a very good boy. Um, we're gonna have a little bit of Dark Empire and a little bit of Heir to the Empire, and uh, you know, it's gonna be very interesting. See what happens. You can't have the rubber band. You can't. He's so cute. But anyway, I just want to talk a little bit about that because I think studying like string theory and everything else is helpful. And there are a lot of people who, when they hear using the veil of the force, they think, time machine, the time machine. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. This is, when I thought about it, I realized it's perfectly rooted in the theories of general relativity and things that people have come up with, other scientists. And it's something that I think is going to, like, here's the deal. If you traveled 1,000 light years to the nearest, star, traveled there, oh yeah, definitely. And you traveled there because when you're traveling beyond the speed of light, time slows. Okay, when you go there, you come back. The Earth will be 3,000 years older, but you'll be only about 10 minutes older. Think about it. That is weird. Okay, that is weird. All right, and that just kind of blew me away. Here's another way to look at it. If you're lucky enough to live in a place where you can actually really see the stars, like Wyoming, Montana, Arizona, Colorado, uh, Texas, even though it's lower, New Mexico, even California, and there's no light pollution, and you can really look up at the stars. Look at one and realize, for you to get there and to go faster than the speed of light, it would take a long time. Even the speed of light, it would feel like it because time is slowed down. B, it's thousands of years in the past. That is the thing. Okay. There's this girl wrote this great fan fiction about Han and Leia, and thank you. And on the way to Bespin, and it's called 40 Days to Bespin. And but let's put it this way: you wouldn't let your kids read it. Okay, it's a little bit. It's not dirty, but it's a little bit. Han has a sublight telescope. He hooks it up to the top turret, and it gets it all ready to go. And she's able to look at Alderaan 1,000 years in the past, right at the start of at the old Republic. That's what happens in reality. Is when you are looking at something that's, how many light years away, it's thousands of years ago. It took that light that long to get to you. Okay. Now, string theory comes up with wormholes. And this is another place where the veil of the Force works. Because you could actually be walking into a wormhole. Okay. So you could actually jump into a wormhole and come out present time. Okay. Which is interesting, and I don't know as much about it as I'd like to, but it's just really, really, really fascinating to think about and what they could be doing with it. And I think it's a very logical thing to do. If they're trying to fix the timeline and they're trying to fix what was broken, I can't think of a better way to do it than to, already tweak it, which is exactly what Filoni did with Ahsoka when Ezra saved her. Dave Filoni has been tweaking this terrible timeline for years. A little of this and a little of that. And that was the first one. And I really think that they're going to be able to do it again. Personally, I can't wait to see Lothal if they do it with Luke. You know, to see whoever is standing in front of the father, son, and daughter, and get the portal open and then jumping in, and hopefully jumping in to where they can find Palpatine and ending it before it started. But I honestly, I almost think that they don't even really need to do any of it if because of what happened with Ahsoka. Even though I would like to see all of that ended. But here's the deal. Here's how you're gonna know that that they've addressed it in a definite way. If we see Leia in some way pregnant with twins, because if you remember, the twins didn't arrive till 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So we're in that timeline to where they could actually show up. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about Indiana Jones 5. Harrison Ford has been seen walking around London with no sling. No sling. So, to the people who are saying it's going to be delayed 3 months, he looks pretty good to me. In fact, I was watching it, and I'm looking at him going, when he had the sling on, saying he don't want that sling on, he doesn't need it. So, Man of Steel lives, and it is Harrison Ford. And I couldn't be happier. I mean, that just, when I saw that picture, I was just like, those pictures, because there's a ton of them, I was like, yay! And they've been filming around him anyway. In fact, Glasgow has 48-star banners, U.S. flag banners up around buildings. I don't know what they're for. You could almost look at them and think, they could actually be doing the whole movie as a flashback. Okay? Not in present day 60s. It could all be a flashback. Okay? I don't know. All I know is that, it just looks, it looks really fucking cool to me. I don't know. Anyway. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about the quantum physics maybe behind the Veil of the Force. And I know it's happening. I had an argument with a black pill today about it. And he was busy trying to defend himself. And then I realized he's a millennial douchebag. What, Chris? Which movie? Harrison getting hurt? No, I really think that they thought he was really hurt bad. But seeing him walk around without that, all right, I'm gonna tell you something. If you hurt your shoulder the way I think it was hurt, either torn rotator cuff or dislocated, I remember my dad dislocating his shoulder. He got into a snowmobile accident and my brother landed on him. That was ugly. And he walked around with that damn thing on him for a long time. So I almost wonder out loud, well, because of and I think also that, here's the deal. When you got people on that say they're on set, posting shit to the sun about it's going to be delayed 3 months, it's like, no, it's not. They're not delaying it. I mean, they're shooting. They're shooting right now. Well, I think the EU timeline is going to be the Mando timeline. Because I think that we're going to have a lot of stuff happening. I think it's going to be the EU in the timeline going forward. using Thrawn and using, I mean, especially since they brought back the Legends books, Essential Legends, which, people are making a big deal about the name. But I gotta tell you something, when you're watching people who I think know what they're doing, get really pissed off about it, like Pablo Hidalgo, I think that's already been established. I mean, they were on there. I showed you that attacking the EU, saying George didn't say it was canon, and it's like that's not the point. The point is this: the EU are better stories than what you fuckers came up with. Okay, if you think they weren't, you don't know how to fucking read, or nor do you know how to write. All right. Second of all, it is very, very interesting to me that they're bringing back these books in a way so people can enjoy them and get refamiliar with them or get familiar with them if they hadn't been before. Now, why are they doing that? I know why. Because they're going to introduce a bunch of characters and situations from the EU. And it's going to be the timeline that they're working on going forward. Okay? And if you look at what Pablo's been doing on his Twitter account, he ain't happy. All right. Now, is he gone? I don't know. He acts like he's gone. I think we're due some explanation of what's going on. I don't know when that's ever going to happen. And we haven't had a good video from Doomcock in, how long? Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing, and I'm happy with that. You've got black pills complaining about it. The same black pills that go and scream about SJW shit and then attack Mount Rushmore. If you know Twitter, you know who I'm talking about. I can't deal with racism in any way. And I really fucking can't stand people who can't be objective about history and wave the fucking flag of victimhood everywhere. I have no smidgen of F's to give about that shit. It happened. Boo fucking who. Okay. Here's me playing a sad song on my tiny violin. We won, you lost. Let it go. It's racism. But we have people who are black pills who hate everything Disney's done, even when it was good. Mandalorian, Bad Batch. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's Disney, they hate it. And the reason why is because it's not the EU. Then we have people who are black pills that just want Star Wars to burn. All right. And we know who they are. And those two black pills overlap. I'm sick of them. And I'm sick of the SJWs that they say they hate. And I would really like to see all of them put in a burlap bag, hang the burlap bag on a wall somewhere, and let them fight it out. Oh, there was somebody who's a big EU canon fan who every year on the 4th of July, when they show Mount Rushmore, likes to scream about how the land was stolen. Really? Let's have that conversation. And I told her this. Apparently you didn't realize that the Lakotas took it from the Shoshones, Blackfeet, and Crows. So go sit over there and think about your own goddamn history, full of warfare, blood, rape, pillaging, scalping, which was a Native American thing, all right, before you sit there and bitch at us, all right? I don't take it kindly to seeing white miners who are trying to eke out a living being arrowed to death because they're on land that somebody imagines only belongs to them, all right? It's a little bit different than the Bible written down and all the rest of that stuff, okay? All right. Hey, Felix. I don't know what she was talking about because I'm ignoring her. Um, I have to say, thank you, Krypton. Um, I have to say that I can't imagine the movie being in pre-production, considering that the Taika Waititi movie isn't going anywhere right now, and neither is Feige's. So why is her movie? Okay. No one is going to see anything that she makes if it's woke. And somebody really needs to explain that to her. I really don't know what, of course they did try, but you can't explain that to them. But you really can't explain it in a way that, I mean, what am I talking about? Okay. I don't see if again, if they're not making Waititi's movie and they're not developing Feige's, what the fuck is she talking about? Because if you remember, Iger said we are putting Star Wars feature films on a hiatus. Okay, so she could develop it until she's, doing, a dance. I don't think it matters. Felix, again, listen to me slowly. I don't think they're making her movie either. She's desperate for attention. Okay? She's fucking desperate for attention. All right? That's why she's doing it. That's why Leslie Headland was screaming about the acolyte. Now you notice how quiet she's gotten? I know why. Because probably Disney said, shut the fuck up. Okay. Because they're not, look, I'm not making this up. Taika Waititi said in an interview, there, we had to put, up my movie, my Star Wars movie. And we were developing up on the shelf because of Lucasfilm's restructuring. Now, can I ask you a question? If that affects Taika Waititi, he's a much better director than Patty Jenkins. Why wouldn't it affect her? And what is she doing? She's looking for attention. I don't see cameras roll. I know that the movie TV shows that are being talked about in England are the Star Wars are only TV shows. Okay? They're only TV shows. So yeah, she's looking for attention. She wants to make her show. And I mean, she's in the middle of making Cleopatra. She's developing that and Wonder Woman 3 that nobody's going to see. I mean, if I was in Hollywood and I ran into her, I'd tell her, I talked to Bob number one, Bob Chapek, about this, and we both came to the conclusion that you don't need to be making this movie. And, you need to stop talking about it. We're not making any feature Star Wars films right now, and you're not helping, okay? Lucasfilm is restructuring. We had to put Taika's movie on hold. Yeah, it does. And, there's a reason why these two, that her and Harvey Weinstein's, oh God, yeah. God, she's got a fat ass, doesn't she? She's gross. Um, the big, Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant and her doing interpretive dance to get attention. It's like, oh, I think that, first off, Cleopatra was Macedonian. And I think that I've seen enough Greeks in my life to know that a dark eyed, dark haired, olive skinned Jewish girl can do just fine. Okay? I mean, no one complained about Liz Taylor. And if you look at the pictures and paintings of, not paintings, but the reliefs of Cleopatra, and profile, she was a white woman. Okay. Yeah, sure, she had African blood. What does that mean? You ever seen some of those people? They're not black. Okay, they're not. Gaddafi wasn't black. You know, at the time of the Ptolemies, Egypt was such a. What are you eating? Stop doing that. You get into things. Stop it. At the time of the Ptolemies, Egypt was a crossroads. So you had North Africans. She was born. She was Cleopatra the Seventh. She was born in the Ptolemaic dynasty of pharaohs, which was the Greek period of Egyptian history, and she came from the line descended from Alexander the Great's general Ptolemy. They called them the Ptolemies, and all the boys in the family were named Ptolemy, and a lot of the girls were named Cleopatra. She had a sister, and I can't remember her name, but the girl in the TV show Rome that played Cleopatra was perfect. She was perfect. I don't know where she came from, but when I think of Cleopatra, I think of her. Okay. I really do. I think of this woman, not a very tall woman, just very, but she looks like the way I would have expected Cleopatra to look. She was also very, very inbred, I think. They all were. She was quote unquote married to her brother, whom she had killed. So she could be the sole ruler of Egypt. She had her sister killed. Or was that her brother who did it? I can't remember. There's a reason why she showed up in front of Caesar on a carpet, is because her brother was trying to have her killed. And that's a true story. That happened. She really did that. But because we don't have a mummy, we don't have DNA, we can't look at her DNA. But because she was descended from Macedonian Greek generals, she had that. And she probably had North African blood too, which doesn't mean anything, because if you look at the people who the populations who peopled North Africa, you've got Phoenicians, you've got Carthaginians, you might have Trojans, you have Jews. Yeah, she was great. I don't, I would rather, people are gonna say, look, why are they making this? And it's another female empowerment thing, and boring. My advice is just go watch Elizabeth Taylor. Okay, watch that, or watch Rome. Okay, Cleopatra herself was a very important person. Her just seducing Caesar changed everything about Rome. Caesar, with his hubris and the idea that he was so loved by the gods, he was a god himself, it had a lot to do with it. But the fear of Egyptian influence had a lot to do with what the senators decided to do with him. It really, really did. Anyway, I gotta go. I've been on for 50 minutes or so. It's, again, the Veil of the Force is basically, in lots of ways, based on what we know of the theories of relativity, the string theory, and everything else. That we know that time and space can be warped by gravity, which is maybe what the Veil of the Force is. And there are, of course, places all over that universe where, oh yeah, she was. The veil, where the veil, there are places in that universe where maybe gravity itself draws the force in, which is what creates a force nexus. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta get some lunch. And I'll see you guys around the galaxy. Behave. You know, Harrison Ford's looking good, strutting around London like he owns it. Man of Steel. You're welcome. Well, I mean, he's walking around London without a sling on. So, I'll see you guys later. See you around the galaxy.